I love the Back to the Future movie trilogy. I love the characters and the whole time travel aspect of the series. You know, it just made traveling through time cool. My favorite one is the first one due to its great story, and I think the third one was the worst due to its slow-moving story. However, the worst movie is still better than a lot of the movies that come out nowadays. I've been wanting to see a Back to the Future 4 since number 3 was released, and I kind of made my peace with the fact that it was never going to happen. Sure, there was the comic book and the cartoon series, but unlike the movies, their storylines go way off the crazy train, and actually break one of the rules of the movie by having the car not just move through time, but through space, and it could instantly travel to any place on Earth. When I heard that Telltale was making a Back to the Future game, and they said it was going to pick up right after the third movie, I was thrilled! I liked their Strong Bad, Monkey Island, and Sam & Max games, so I was really looking forward to this one. And overall, I would say it was okay. My problem with the game was that it seemed to have an identity crisis, depending on the episode. The story starts up with the government selling off Doc Brown's stuff, then all of a sudden the DeLorean time machine comes out of nowhere with the dog Einstein at the wheel. Marty takes the time machine to 1931 to save his friend, and he changes one or two things that end up taking 5 episodes to fully fix. I liked how there was an overarching storyline, but the problem was the story was only deep enough for 3 episodes. It really felt like they were stretching out the plot, especially in the 3rd and 4th part, as it got extremely silly in those episodes. That's where the identity crisis comes in. The title wants to be taken seriously with some real dramatic moments and plot lines, and then it bookends that with the craziness of the cartoon. It's like the creators couldn't decide if they were going to make a sequel to the movies or a sequel to the cartoon, so they just went for both, and it doesn't really work that well. There are 2 main villains, which I won't spoil, but at least one of them was effective. The other one I was a bit mixed on. This person might have been bad, but they still seemed redeemable. That helped with the storyline that they were trying to portray. It was very hard to hate this person. You just pity them more. And while it's true they both get a happy ending, it really feels forced. The controls itself were awkward. You can just use the Wiimote to control Marty, but it was way too stiff to use it consistently. You're going to want to use the nunchuck, and even then it had problems. When you moved around the screen, the camera would change. And sometimes when you're pushing up on the controller, you're moving left. It got really confusing at times. Now the graphics were okay, but it sure would get choppy at times. The voice acting was good though, even if the lip syncing was terrible. The actor who voiced Marty really sounded like Michael J. Fox. Plus it was nice to see they got Christopher Lloyd to voice his character. And as a bonus, they got Michael J. Fox to voice one of the characters, which I thought was cool. This game had quite a few adult words in it though, and I know they were just parodying the movie at times, but they could have just easily cut it out. The puzzles were normal adventure game craziness, where 2 objects will be needed to use together in order to accomplish a task. But sometimes you'd have to really think outside the box to figure it out. All of the episodes were free to play in any order you want. I would suggest you play the game in order, but that's not a requirement. Back to the Future, the game, was an interesting trip back to this fun world. While I think the story was stretched out too thin, it was still interesting enough to finish out, just to see how it all turned out. And I liked how it answered all the questions I had. And it even left itself open to another set of games in the series, in a very funny way. You could beat the game over a few days, since each episode only takes 2 hours to complete. And unlike other games from this publisher, there are no bonus items or after-game extras. But I do think it is worth a rent.